Oh boy, the market has changed. How do you sell your home and get the best price? Stay tuned. All right, it is me, Ashley, with Keller Williams Realty in Everett, and I'm here to share with you a few tips. So, we've left the past behind us, okay? We've left the past behind us. So, there was a time where you could put a house on the market, you didn't have to do too much, and boom, it would sell, maybe multiple offers, over list price, and you can get everything you want as a seller. And that has changed a little bit now. It has changed a little bit, okay? So the market is different. We're now in the new market. And in the new market, you really need to stand out. Houses are staying on the market longer, and they're just not appreciating as quickly. Okay, they're not appreciating as quickly. So it's not that they're losing value, they're just not gaining as much value as quickly. Okay, they're not gaining as much value as quickly. All right, so appreciation has slowed down, but you're not depreciating. All right, so that's I feel like that's great news. Okay, the other news is this. It is still technically a seller's market. Okay, it is still technically a seller's market, so it's also good news. It's all good news. And what you need to do with that information is make sure you follow the next 2 big tips, okay? So these are 2 big tips to get the most money for your home in the new market, all right? The first thing you wanna do is you wanna get your property priced right. Pricing is key. It's one of the most important pieces here. It's the most important piece of the puzzle, because here's the thing with price. You want to get maximum exposure. You wanna get the most buyers looking for a house like yours into your home, okay? And what happens is when you price a home, for example, just at market value. So say you're like, okay, I don't really want to go over, I don't really want to go under, I want to put it right at market value. What ends up happening then is you capture about 60% of the buyers that are looking for homes like yours. You capture about 60%, okay? Those are what the statistics say, all right? Now, if you price it over, let's say you price it over by 10%, okay? You price it too high by 10%, all right? What ends up happening then is you reduce your amount of exposure by almost half, which means you're only gonna get about 30% of the buyers that are looking for a home like yours. Only 30%, okay? And you know what that means? That means a lot of things. That means that you might not, what if your house is a more expensive house? What if your house is really unique? What if there's some other issues with your house and that buyer pool is already really small? Maybe there's only 10 buyers. That means you only get 3 people in, okay? And you know what you really want is you want the most that you can get, okay? So what about if you did on the flip side, okay? And this is what I would recommend. I think without exception, all right? Without exception, I would recommend this. You go in just a little under that, 5 to 10%. Maybe 10, okay? Going 10% under market value, all right? Going in 10% under market value gets you about 75% of the buyers that are looking for a home like yours. Now, contrast that with 10% over, okay? 3 versus 7.5, we'll just call it 8. You can't have half a person. Let's call it 8. So you get 8 people in out of 10. That's awesome. That's awesome. We could even be conservative, 7. 7 is better than 3. All right, so that's really important. Make sure you price it right, okay? So it sounds a little counterintuitive, but it works every time, and it's the smartest way to go. So price it a little under, all right? Second tip, tip number 2, you gotta make that property stand out, all right? You have to really make your property stand out, and that means getting it staged professionally. That means getting professional photos, all right? Now, staging, it can seem a little overwhelming, like, oh man, then I have to have a design consultant come in. We're gonna talk about the different things I can do to my house to make it look better, all right? Oh, it's gonna cost me so much money. Now, you know what? You know what's really costing you money? Not making your house stand out, okay? Because if your house doesn't stand out, then you don't get the exposure you want, all right? And that's what you need. You want the exposure, all right? And let me give you some statistics on this, okay? So, and I'll cite the article down below. The National Association of Realtors says for every $100 you put in, you should get about $400 back. So you put in $100 towards staging, you should get $400 back in your purchase price, okay? So how much the house is sold for, all right? And there's also really good evidence saying that you can get up to 20% more for your house, up to 20% more, okay? Now, let's say 20% is just way out there. That's like the highest amount, okay? Let's say you only got 4%, all right? Let's say you got only 4%, and your house is the average cost of a house in Everett, which is about $425,000. That's the average price of all the houses that are listed right now. $425,000. 4% of that is 17 grand. I mean, that's something to sneeze at. All right, $17,000. Now let's say you spent $2,000 on staging. You're still to the good. I mean, that means you made $15,000 on your $2,000 investment. All right, you made $15,000 on your $2,000 investment. All right, so staging, super duper important. Staging it, super duper important. Okay. And, you know, not only, you know, for you, I mean, obviously there's money for you, okay, but for that buyer, I mean, what you're doing when you stage a space is you're making it easier for that buyer to imagine the space when they live there. And when they can imagine living in the space, they love the space. And when they love the space, they're able to say yes, and they're able to come forward with an offer, all right? So, because they're able to come forward with an offer, because they can visualize the space, you're then going to have your house on the market for less time. And I mean, those are the two things that you're kind of working against. You don't really want your house on there too long, all right? You know, really the first 2 weeks are the critical weeks. The first 2 weeks are the critical weeks to get as much exposure and as many people in on that property as possible. So staging it and pricing it right is going to cause that. Staging it and pricing it right is going to cause that to happen, okay? Professional photos as well. You know, I mean, it's almost like its own, it's like a bonus material. It's like a bonus under making it look its best, because a huge percentage of people come online to homes first. They come from online. So they're going to look online. They're going to do a virtual tour. They're going to look at your street. They're going to look all around before they even come out and take a peek at it. All right. So those are the tips that I'm sharing with you today. Make sure you get it priced right. Price that house right. Price it a little under market value. Get maximum exposure. Number 2, make it look its best. Get it staged, get professional photos online so you can make more money and have your house on the market for less time. Okay, so those are the tips that I have for you today. Please like the video and subscribe. Of course, subscribe. I will see you again soon. YouTube.